Hey guys, Crypto Sunday, and it's another green week. Pretty heavy week for the ETFs from the looks of it. It's 6% up for me. That's £21,000. So I keep saying, can't go on like this forever. But yeah, good while it lasts. Let's have a look at some of the news. So we had the coin shares report on Monday, reporting the week before last, essentially, and that was another very positive week. This is largely the US ETF still, and it is looking like this coming Monday's or tomorrow's report will be rather positive as well. So there's $1.1 billion in net inflows. This was sort of headwind still of 414 million of grayscale selling. I believe people have been saying this is partly down to Genesis selling, so it's sort of within the company because Genesis and Grayscale are both digital currency group subsidiaries. But BlackRock still pushing it pretty hard. Fidelity doing really well also, and some of the others. Again, other countries are leaking a bit, so maybe that is what's going, partly what's going into the US ones. But looking at the per coin breakdown, it's near enough all Bitcoin at the moment. Ethereum 16 million, and then sort of multi-asset Solana, very little, a little bit of short Bitcoin. 6 million of Cardano, though. That's quite high and sort of the highest I've ever seen it on a weekly flow. So that's interesting. Somebody, maybe a sort of one large player. I can't imagine sort of everyone has suddenly got in on Cardano all at the same time. And then by country, again, still seeing sort of negatives from Canada, Germany, and Sweden. Quite positive inflow into Switzerland, which is a little bit strange. I think some of the other country ETFs are dropping their fees sort of maybe closer to the US ones. I don't think quite. I think a lot of them are sort of 0.3, 0.4%, where the sort of the bar seems to be set on the US ones at 0.2%. So yeah, interesting to see where they'll end up, but not too bad. And looking at the US ones in a little bit more detail, you can see, so this is right up to, um, well, up to today pretty much. And yeah, 16th of February. And you have BlackRock sort of running away with it a little. This is the Fidelity one, sort of trailing, but not too far second place. And between those two, that's a huge amount. And you're still getting sort of both of those two. Well, BlackRock certainly on a fairly consistent basis. Two or three times the grayscale net outflows. So that's pretty positive. And Fidelity sort of quite often more than the grayscale outflows. So apart from sort of 15th and the 16th, where again this may be Genesis partly selling, but that isn't going to last too long at 150 million a day. So all looking good. And so just looking at the total net per day, you're sort of getting a re-acceleration again. It sort of had dropped down to sort of double figures, 68 million, 33 million, and then a high day. But then all of a sudden, 8th of February, you're back up to sort of 400, an average of 4 or 500. Uh, Obviously, the with this sort of slightly larger outflows on GBTC, it's come down to 323, but yeah, that's a hell of a lot of buying pressure to be getting every day, and you can see why it's just slowly moving the price up. This isn't, a lot of people have sort of commented that this is very different to leverage trading and price going up because people are going 20x, 100x long Bitcoin. That's where you get massive wicks to the upside and then liquidations on the downside. This is more just the ETF providers buying Bitcoin at 1x, 1-to-1 in the ETFs, and that is far more sustainable. So speaking of BlackRock, Larry, of course, is out there talking to anyone who will speak to him about ETFs and sort of tokenizing the whole world, and everyone sort of considering most of the ETF companies have already got an Ethereum ETF filed, and we're sort of hoping that's going to be around May or June time. which they all get approved. People are asking what's next already, even though Ethereum ones haven't been sort of approved. But I guess there isn't that much that they can legally talk about them. So they can ask what's next, and he's been quite cagey about a Ripple XRP ETF. Again, whether that means they're sort of talking about it and he really can't say whether they are or not, we don't know. There's also sort of comments that because XRP doesn't have a futures market on the CME, that seems to be sort of the reason that the Bitcoin one's gone through in the end, and Ethereum does have a futures market. So unless they get one sharpish and it, rises in volume, then that's sort of seen as a little bit more unlikely. But certainly he was asked about it and he said, I can't talk about that. So the XRP army have jumped on that and sort of thinking this is coming, but I would stay a little bit cautious and maybe watch the CME futures market and see if we start getting XRP futures. This is quite funny to see. The big banks are doing a bit of a U-turn and are a little bit annoyed that they're not sort of fully in on the exchange traded funds. Obviously, the custodian for most of these ETFs is Coinbase, and the banks are sort of saying that could have been us, and they're sort of lobbying and having a go at the SEC and sort of trying to side with Congress, who have also been pushing for big banks and to be able to get involved, and the legislation changed on holding crypto, because it looks like at the moment the banks have to put it on their balance sheet, and they're saying that's expensive. Not sure why it would be expensive. I can see why it'd be volatile if it's on your balance sheet, even though you can now sort of mark it up and down as per where it is in the market. It's just not great for you to sort of have I don't know, 5 billion, 10 billion worth of crypto on your balance sheet. It's very volatile, and they don't like that, and they have to report it as like a loss when it goes down, which it isn't really, and it's just causing more issues when you report your earnings. But yeah, they're trying to get the legislation changed so it's just like holding stocks for other people, and that doesn't really affect their own earnings. But whether they'll take the business away from Coinbase, if that does go through, it'd be interesting to see, because that's sort of the bullish case for Coinbase, so have to keep an eye on it. And we have probably the last Masari report that I'll look at for this quarter. I do keep an eye on sort of all of them that look interesting, but Cardano will probably be the last one until the Q1 reports roll around, and got to admit, there wasn't a huge amount to be excited about in here. Give some sort of headlines and then the headline numbers. Again, I would say ignore the price ones, because we know the price, and the price has changed since Q4 2023 for sure, so that isn't very useful. But certainly the other metrics, daily active addresses, sort of on par with previous quarter, but down year on year. Daily transactions up slightly, sort of in the similar range to what it has been. Active stake is basically the same. Total value locked has increased quite a bit, but that's partly because of the price change. It doesn't look like a huge amount of ADA itself has increased, although it's slowly increasing. DApp transactions pretty much in the same range, and NFT volume down quite significantly. It's not down every sort of sequentially every quarter, but it's certainly down on average, and sort of 68% down year on year. So not great, and nothing to be sort of too excited about. We've sort of got some other figures, largely the same figures in here, except quarterly revenue in ADA terms. So ignoring the price increase, it's around the same in quarterly ADA. That means the balance sheet, the treasury balance is up a little. They don't seem to spend a huge amount, which is sort of, I think, part of the negative, really, because that leads me to think there isn't that much going on. They're not sort of funding lots and lots of projects with grants and what I would think the treasury balance would be getting spent on, like other projects. You can call that sort of forced or artificial growth, but what else are they going to be spending this balance on if it's just increasing quarter over quarter and there isn't that much activity going on? What is the use of that balance? So you've got NFT transactions as well and DApp transactions. DApps were sort of, again, pretty much in the sort of similar range, up from Q1 but down from Q2. Daily NFT transactions sort of continuously down, although the decline has slowed a little, but 8% down on previous quarter. NFT trading volume is down, as I said before, despite the price increase, so that's not very good at all. And total value locked is up again, even in ADA terms, but it's still relatively small amount of the total ADA, so not ideal. Stablecoin volume as well, sort of slightly up, but 21 million really isn't anything to be talked about. I think Solana are at 3 or 4 billion now, and yeah, you got Tron and Ethereum at sort of 10 times that. So 21 million is nice to be up, but it's a drop in the ocean. Yeah, other than some sort of things that they're saying are coming up in the near future or in the sort of medium-term future, there isn't really a huge amount to talk about. It's always been a project that has a fair amount in the sort of medium-term future, but it never actually seems to come into the present, or sort of even when some of the stuff does do, it doesn't make a huge difference to the metrics. Not talking about price, to sort of usage metrics. So yeah, positive, and it's still sort of one of my larger holdings, but I still want to see a lot more from it. Whereas something that is continuously up and up and up is, of course, the Bitcoin hash rate. So we've seen new highs. January it got a little bit of a drop, but has sort of rocketed straight back up, and then early February almost touched 600 billion terahashes from the looks of it, and has sort of dropped down ever so slightly, but sort of on the 1 day you can see it's very up and down. So the averages sort of even that out. On a 30-day average, it's just continuously up, and sort of 30-day average is up to 548. Obviously, this then has an effect on the difficulty. I tend to, because it's a 2-week, doesn't move for 2 weeks generally, I put that on the 1 day average, and you can sort of see this stair step up and down, mostly up, and you're up to 77 on the difficulty. I think I did see a report that it got to 80, so maybe this is slightly out of date. This is 15th of Feb, so if we're at 80 now, then that will be very, very heavy on the miners' profit. I'm still waiting to do my video on CleanSpark, but yeah, certainly this doesn't really help, and sort of them pushing to like 20 or 32 exahash is really just offsetting this increased difficulty, and good for the Bitcoin network, but not good for their profits. But looking positive overall. So just looking at the coins for the week, Bitcoin up 8%. That's where most of the gain has come from. Very nice. Solana's taken a little breather, 1% up. Ethereum 11.8%, so outperforming Bitcoin, looking pretty good. Not able to make my switch to Ethereum anytime soon, it looks like. Chainlink down 2% for the week, but that had been doing reasonably well. Cardano, despite the poor numbers, he is 15% up for the week, so that's doing quite well. XRP 6% up, always underperforming. Polygon, Matic up 10%, pretty good. Audius, doing quite well this week, 23%. Power Ledger up 10%. Internet Computer up 3.5%. Quant up 3%. That really is lagging. It's not sort of following on this bull market too much just yet. Gala 11% up, basic attention token 14, and VeChain a little bit unusual. I've not seen sort of too much in the way of news on them, but they are 49% up for the week, so they are the outperformer. Yeah, looking overall rather nice. So we'll see how far this up move can take us. Even if we do get a bit of a pullback, that's perfectly normal for bull markets. So leave your thoughts in comments below and like and subscribe. See you soon.